Sons of the Forest, a brand new game from Endnight Studios, takes players through the sequel to the popular co-op survival horror game The Forest. You are dispatched with mercenaries to locate and save a billionaire who has been abandoned on an island. Your chopper crashes, leaving you on the island, which is home to mutants and cannibals, alone or with as many as 7 other people. Sons of the Forest provides similar services to The Forest, but enhances several aspects and introduces innovations. You will enjoy a whole new forest survival horror experience here, complete with updated features. Things operate a little differently, and while you struggle to live, you will run with highly developed opponents. While you search for the missing billionaire you've been assigned to find, you'll need to gather supplies, construct a shelter, prepare food, and fend off a group of scary cannibals. You'll also need to struggle with the crafting system, learn how to save your game, and understand how the strange inventory works. Although the majority of the game's principles are the same, there are a few things to bear in mind as you progress. The following 8 Sons of the Forest tips and strategies will help you not only survive and get better weapons and skills, but they will also help you comprehend the game and play it more effectively. Starting with number 8, understand new AI. Compared to the original game, the AI in Sons of the Forest has much improved since the new mechanism will employ technology against you as well. The AI will accompany you and have a strategy in mind. You'll need to adjust how you deal with the islanders here and occasionally be prepared for the unexpected. Some AI will breach your fortifications using swift attack raids and zip lines to enter your hamlet. The AI and NPCs may reportedly exhibit incredibly complicated behavior thanks to this technique, and characters can now experience many emotions such as fear, fatigue, anger, hunger, thirst, boredom, etc. Others may discover your defense's weak spots and take advantage of them, or they might bring in reinforcements to deal with the traps before the main surge of assailants arrives. This will be evident in their actions and, consequently, in how they approach you. Despite your involvement in the battle, the mutants may emerge to play and some cannibal groups may assault the mutants. While you're away, some of the cannibals attack your stronghold, sometimes with the intention of destroying it and sending you on your way, or just to plunder its resources. Moving on to number 7, help companions. You have your crash buddy Kelvin with you when you fall in the jungle, so you're not alone. He is a character who was in the aircraft with you when it crashed. Due to the collision, he lost his hearing and experienced brain injuries. In every aspect of the game, he is a useful support. Nonetheless, you may use your notebook to give Calvin instructions so that he gathers supplies for you and delivers them to a certain location, or doing other things. If you do not feel comfortable giving him access to your hard-earned wealth, you can leave him behind. You will encounter other NPCs as well during the course of the game. Although not all of them will be amicable, you could run across a few pleasant faces you recognize. The 3-armed Virginia is a further individual who we are already familiar with. It is ideal to keep your companion NPCs close to you because taking care of them will aid in your defense against other adversaries. Periodically, companions will pause and consume something. They will work more slowly if you do not take proper care of them or if you treat them poorly. Moving on to number 6, gather healing. In the beginning of the game, healing is rare on the island. A health regeneration process is started when a medicine is consumed. Getting struck during this process would fully undo the benefit. But if you've recently been knocked out, it's a certain way to go back to full health. Your greatest chance for healing in the early stages of Sons of the Forest is to locate medicine in various caches. Medicines can be found in caves, crates, and other storage areas. However, due to the tribes, they can be dangerous. There are several boxes that have come ashore with the wreckage that are certain to contain medicine, and there are further boxes in various tribal camps scattered over the area. Learning how to save your energy and health will be great because the majority of the substances you'll need for making remedies or antidotes will be scarce. Large patches of these things frequently spawn in various places around the maps. There are a lot of them kinds of stuff nearby if you can locate the location close to the down plain near the mountains. Keep track of the location of any items you uncover that are really difficult to find elsewhere and return at a later date. In Sons of the Forest, the majority of resources will respawn after a certain amount of time, which is advantageous. Moving on to number 5, save ammo. You'll encounter a ton of adversaries from different tribes. Getting your hands on ammo may be difficult no matter what stage of the game you're in, even if you can acquire weaponry during your journey, including shotguns and pistols. The bottom line is that because the ammo is uncommon, you should preserve it for unexpected situations. To combat your opponents, you can even employ melee weapons like axes or makeshift clubs. Another option is to avoid conflict altogether, which is always the wisest course of action. Relying on melee fighting is one technique to conserve ammunition. It is advisable to construct an arrow as soon as you can in order to take down lesser waves of attackers or to go hunting for creatures. Since you can always simply make extra, using your arrows is always a wise and great option. When a stronger enemy, such as a mutant, attacks your base, you should utilize guns. More arrows may be obtained by crafting, which can aid in dealing with adversaries further away. Early on in the game, you may get the axe, and by improving it, you can better withstand the onslaught of mutants and cannibals. If you are not careful, that might leave you vulnerable to assaults and suffering harm. With enough time in the game, you can master melee combat and save tons of ammo for when you really need it. Moving on to number 4, Season Changes. Seasons is one of the game's more recent game elements and a brand new feature that includes multiple seasons like the spring, summer, autumn, and winter seasons. In order to avoid extinction, you should correctly handle your inventory. The best way to do that is to start learning how to create fire as soon as possible, along with handling your sustenance and creating warm clothing. The behavior of the intelligence is also influenced by the seasons. You'll probably also need to modify your cold attire and strategy. You'll have plenty of resources available to you in the spring and summer, and you might see rivers teeming with animals traveling the globe and plentiful fish. The animals will, however, withdraw through the weather as the seasons change, and you will discover a scarcity of many things. It will be difficult to survive the cold, much like in a survival game. To have food to consume in an emergency if everything goes awry, you might want to store packaged meals and other food items on hand. Due to the cold, cannibal groups will not travel as far and will instead concentrate on enduring the winter. In order to combat the effects of the chilly weather, they will also don warm suits. Therefore, it's usually a good idea for you to prepare a sturdy campfire in your base for warming and gather all the other useful and edible things that might help you survive the island's grueling winters. Moving on to number 3, Sense the Surrounding. One of the most obvious survival game tips is to always be aware of your surroundings, such as in Sons of the Forest. There are several possible risks in the game that might quickly end your run. It is preferable to take a few seconds than risk dying at the hands of the adversary because you failed to explore the region. At the beginning, as you are looking for stuff, you should be on the alert for cannibals since they might raid your base or lure you in for a kill, which is unexpected, and more importantly, where they can be found. They might not like you and may just stare at you suspiciously, but they won't always attack. Moving from place to place without first getting a proper view is not usually a sensible choice. You can better understand the various types of enemies and their strategies by paying close attention to the surrounding area. This is crucial if you want to live on the island. The most important lesson you can learn from this is to stay away from them as much as you can, at least in the early stages of the game. Put extra effort into gathering supplies and constructing your shelters. While not everyone is an enemy, try to keep your distance from other predators. But if you are prepared for combat, simply kill them and burn them. Always scan your surroundings to determine if it is safe to move around, gather resources, or engage in combat. You should check to see who else is nearby before attacking them to see how they respond. Some of them will be furious at you, but if you don't bother them, they'll leave you alone. Others will make an effort to find you. In either case, you should constantly be on guard while you are exploring new territory and ready your base for attack. Moving on to number 2, build shelters. Early on in the game, you should focus on building shelters since these will keep you safe from both outside threats like adversaries and weather variations like rain and snow. If you have a place to stay, you may also recover and sleep, which will help you cope better the following day. Fortunately, there is plenty of wood in the forest, so you can make a shelter right away. You should choose a secure location for your initial base. Look in a warm place and ideally close to some water. Having access to clean water nearby is the greatest method to survive in the early stages of the game. When you haven't yet constructed a water storage for rainwater collecting, any body of water, such as a lake, river, or pond, will help you live. So, be sure to place your initial base away from places with snow and close to a water supply. Otherwise, you would struggle since it is difficult to locate fresh water. Also, these regions are fantastic for luring wild animals, which will aid in your efforts to acquire meat. After you've located the ideal location, begin felling trees and constructing a little cabin. Open your inventory and choose the guidebook to make a hunting shelter. Once equipped, click the hunting shelter icon to set up the building's blueprint. Shelters allow you to save your game and get some rest. To establish a safe shelter as quickly as feasible, start small. Also, build a fence or, better still, a wall around your base to protect you from attacks. Finally, moving on to number 1, focus on resources. You should have the attitude to scavenge almost everything around you from the very beginning of the game. The last game's players will be aware of how crucial it is to scavenge anything you come across. You need to gather as many resources as you can because you have been left alone on an island. If you look closely enough, the game provides you a ton of beneficial resources. They will help you construct your shelter and deter the cannibals. You start out after an accident with minimal gear and are pretty defenseless. Hence, search the area and get whatever you can. Stones, plants, and sticks, anything might be beneficial. While your helicopter crash site can aid in your early supply collecting, you would have a better time scavenging the jungle. Moving forward will assist you in obtaining the necessary resources like water, meat, weapons, and crafting materials. Given this, there are a number of containers scattered about the helicopter's wreckage. Be certain to crack open each one and get the materials within. You don't want to leave anything behind because the containers might be difficult to see. The canisters have a lighter, survival knife, and tactical axe as contents. You don't need to be concerned about your inventory because it is much larger than it appears to be. You can keep items like pebbles and sticks you've collected to the right. On the lower border, additional containers and food items are kept. To ensure that you don't overlook anything you're transporting, be sure to take a close look at how big the area is. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it so far. If so, then subscribe to the channel and like the video in order to see more gaming content like this in future. Consider supporting the channel for a minimum amount of $3, for which you can refer to the description box. Comment down below how was your experience playing it and what video do you need next. I'll see you all in the next video. Till then, bye bye.